Good day, everyone. We are continuing our journey on financial mathematics from mathematics level 4, and this time we'll be focusing more on higher purchase problems. So these two problems they are all talking about higher purchase agreement. So actually, what a higher purchase agreement? These are situations that almost 90% of the world is using. That means you have the intention of buying something, but you don't have all the money. So the little one you have, you will be encouraged to deposit, then you will be given the item, then you enter into an agreement where you will be paying monthly. You see, most people buy their houses, their cars, laptops, phones using this technique. So let's follow the question. It says Fred buys a laptop for 8,000. So this 8,000 is actually the cash price. He pays a deposit of 2,500. The fact is, they start telling you that he's paying a deposit means he didn't get the 8,000, and then signs a hire purchase agreement that stipulates 12% simple interest for 3 years. He also pays an insurance premium of 80 rands for the duration of the loan, determining his total payment for the laptop. So if you've understood the whole story, it means actually Fred intends to buy a laptop that costs 8,000, or the cash price is 8,000. He doesn't have the 8,000, he only has 2,500, so he's encouraged to deposit it and enters into an agreement on how he will pay the balance of between the 8,000 and the 2,500, which he has agreed to pay over 3 years. But the company, in order to secure its laptop, must encourage you to get an insurance so that if something happens to you or to the asset within the 3 years, then the asset will be covered. So, in this kind of situations, the very first thing you look at is the principal loan, because you see the laptop costs 8,000, you only paid 2,500, so there is a loan that has been given to you in the form of the laptop. So the principal loan will be at 8,000, which is the cash price minus the 2,500. So if you do that, you'll see the loan that the company actually gave you. So that should be easy. So if you have 8,000 minus 2,500, that takes us to what is happening? 8,000 minus 2,500. That takes us to 5,500. So that is it. So we've got an amount of 5,500 as loan. So what do? We have to now, as the company, they take this loan and pass it through the simple interest formula to see what will it give in 3 years time, since they are allowing you to use that laptop for 3 years. So we need the simple interest formula, which is 1 plus I n. So we have to check what is the accumulated loan. So the accumulated loan should be 5,500 of 1 plus, how was this loan given out? 12% simple interest. So with higher purchase agreements, we always use simple interest formula. So we'll have 12% over 3 years, and we'll see how much this loan will end up being. So if you take 12% times 3, that is like 33%. So you have 5,500 into 1 plus 0.36, because 12 times 3 is 36, and 100 is 36. So this means our accumulated loan should be 7,480. So this is the accumulated loan that the company is expecting from year 5,500. So to make life easy for you, they have to make sure this loan is distributed over the number of months that are found in 3 years. So we'll now go to monthly payment. How do they arrive at your monthly payment? So your monthly payment, they simply take your accumulated loan of 7,480, they divide by the number of months in 3 years. The year has 12 months times 3 makes 36. But don't forget that for you to have been entrusted with that laptop, you were encouraged to also go for an insurance premium that will be paying 80 rands per month is 80 rands, is supposed to be 80 rands per month. Sorry for that, I missed out that part. He also pays an insurance fee of 80 rands per month for the duration of that loan, because you must have an insurance that will cover for that loan. So if you want to calculate your monthly payment, we are expected to include the insurance. So if we include the insurance to it, that will then take us to 7480 divided by 36 or 7. Let's put it this way: 7480 on 36. Then I add 80 to it. That takes me to my monthly payment. So I have a monthly payment of 227,780. Right. So that is how I get to my monthly payment, and that's how companies calculate their monthly payment. Then from here, we can now calculate the total payment for the loan. How do you get your total payment, or the total payment not for the loan, for the laptop? Because I determine his total payment for the laptop. If I determine his total payment for the laptop, you must not forget he had to pay 2.5 as deposit before he got to the laptop. Then after that, the remaining 5,500 from the 8,000, he entered into an agreement. This is what the agreement took us to. Then we got to his monthly payment. So if I need the total payment, it's either I just take this amount, I add to 2.5, or sorry, not this amount must be added to that. So total payment, we need to take his monthly payment, which is 287,78. We multiply by the number of months, which is 36. Then we add the 25, which was the deposit to it, to see the total amount that this person has paid for that asset or for the laptop. So if I want the total payment, I would take 287.78 times 36, since it's been paid over 36 months. Then I add 2,500 to it. Then I'll see the total amount paid for that laptop. So the total amount is 12,860.08. So this is the total payment for the laptop. And you can see the laptop actually has just a cost price, a cash price of 8,000. But because we don't have 8,000, we are forced to enter into a higher purchase agreement, and obviously we are going to pay more. That is how higher purchase agreements work. So what if you were asked for the savings? Had it been you refused to enter into the higher purchase agreement? So your savings, in case you decided that I want to enter into that agreement, I will have to raise my money and pay for it. Then your savings will be your total payment, which is 12,860 minus the cash price of the laptop. You will see yourself actually saving over 4,000 dollars. So if you take that amount minus 8,000, you'll see yourself with 4,860. So it's always very important before you get into a higher purchase agreement, you ask yourself the simple question: is it something that I can sacrifice some time and raise money to do it, or is it really necessary for me to get into that agreement? So that is it for that problem. So we are going to do the second one, which is more or less like the first. So from our explanation here, I guess this one will be easier. It says Thompson wants to buy a microscope for his research. He enters into a higher purchase agreement with the supplier and pays a deposit of 25% of the cash price of 18,000, which means the microscope costs 18,000. Thompson doesn't have 18,000, but he can afford 25% off that cash price. So he promises to pay it off over 60 months at an interest rate of 13% per annum. Then the supplier also requires he pays an insurance fee of 65 pounds per month. So we need to get the total payment. So our starting point should always be our principal loan. So the original cost is 18,000, but you are only paying 25% of that. So if you need your principal loan, you need to take 18,000 minus your deposit, just like we did here, 8,000 minus our deposit. Here, our deposit was given to us, but here, our deposit is 25% of this cash price. So if I take 25% of 18,000, I will see my principal. So 25% of 18,000 is like subtract 25% from 18,000, which is equivalent to just saying I'm left with 75%. So I'll just take 75% of 18,000, gives me 13,500. So this is the loan that the company has given to Thompson, because Thompson intends to buy a microscope that costs 18,000, but it doesn't have 18,000, but you can afford 25% of the 18,000. So 25% of means you multiply, then you subtract from the 18,000, you see what he afforded, and this is what is left. So he deposited that, this is what is left. The the microscope is given to him, and he's going to company this. So the company will now accumulate this money through simple interest formula. So the higher purchase will always use simple interest to accumulate this to see what is the accumulated loan. So the accumulated loan, 13,500, at what interest rate? What was the interest rate? 13%, because it promises to pay it over a period of 60 months at an interest rate of 13%. And what is 60 months? 60 months means 5 years. You just need to take the number of months, you divide by 12, since there are 12 months in a year, you see yourself with 5 years, like so. Then we go on to see what is the accumulated loan. So the accumulated loan is 13,500 into 1.65. Say 1.65 because 13 times 5 is 65. 100 is 0.65 plus 1 is 1.65. So that gives me 22,275. So this is our accumulated loan. So now the company can't just sit back and say, just go and use the microscope and bring me this money at the end of 60 months. They have to make a plan for you to pay monthly. So from accumulated loan, you have to go to monthly payments. So your monthly payments will mean they will take the 2227, they divide by 60 months, and they agreed to pay off the asset. But don't forget, every month you are always paying an insurance of 65 pounds. So you have now to see a monthly payment. So for anyone who is paying any asset monthly, be it a phone, a laptop, a car, a house, this is how you get to your monthly payment. So I'm taking that divided by 60. I'm taking 2275 divided by 60. Then to that I add my 65. So I see my monthly payment for the microscope just being 436 rands and 25 cents. So this is what you pay monthly. So from this monthly payment, our target is our total payment for the microscope. Therefore, the total payment will simply be a monthly payment multiplied by the total number of months, which of course here is 60. So my monthly payment is 436.25 times 60. That's my monthly payment, but I must not forget that there was a deposit of 25% of the cash price. So I have to add 25% of our cash price of 18,000. Because if I didn't pay that 25%, I was never ever going to get access to the microscope. So that is what we are going to do to see our total payment. So we are going to take 436.25 times 60. Then in addition to that, we'll bring in the deposit, which was 0.25 times 18,000. So this takes us to a total of 30,675. So this is the total payment for the laptop that was supposed to only cost us 18,000. So I keep calling it laptop. This one is a microscope that is supposed to cost us only 18,000. So if you were to look for the savings, had it been Thompson refused to enter into a hire purchase agreement and decided that I will raise the money, then what he must have said would have been to take the total payment minus the cash price. So I take the total payment of 30,675 minus 18,000. I will see what Thompson could have saved on this microscope. So Thompson could have saved a whopping 12,675. So in simple terms, higher purchase, once you get into this kind of agreement, you pay more. As we've all seen, the first person saved 4.8, this one is saving 12,000. But what if you don't have the money? You don't have a choice. But if there is an option to avoid higher purchase, guys, I always encourage you to raise your money and buy your things cash. So thank you very much. I hope that helped.